Hello everyone, Niklsun here, and welcome to Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. I'm your host, and on this show, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we'll be going over all of the day's movie news, as well as going over what it means for the production in general, such as casting decisions, trailer announcements, director announcements, things like that. So, without any further ado, let's get started with today's Hot Topics. Due to my work schedule outside of doing the show, I actually haven't been able to have an episode, obviously, as you guys know, since last Wednesday. So what I thought I would do, because I have a little bit of time on my hands this evening and then tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a two-part episode. So both parts are going to be up hopefully tonight. Worst case scenario, second part will be up early tomorrow morning. It all depends on how fast my system is, how fast YouTube wants to upload all that stuff, and whatnot. So I'm going to be covering about 6 or 7 topics today. So if any of the topics you guys wanted to have discussed or that you had emailed in or anything like that are not talked about on this episode, check back for part 2, which will be up hopefully later on tonight, but worst case scenario, it'll be up tomorrow morning. So let's start this thing off with a bang. All right. Marvel released a brand new TV spot for Avengers. Holy crap. I don't know if I could say anything else about this. This is the trailer we should have got all along. We did not, as much as I loved the trailer we got just a few weeks ago, this is the trailer that should have taken its spot. It's 1 minute, okay? It is a TV spot. It is not a theatrical trailer. It is a TV spot. This is the trailer, the tone, the setting, the content, the quips, the dire circumstances, everything. The entire crux of the movie was shown to us in 1 minute. That is the trailer we should have got. We should have never had that the second trailer that came out that showed a little bit of new footage, and then the trailer they just dropped a couple of weeks ago. Well, I still liked it. I loved the footage. I loved the way that it was constructed and all this. It was much more heroic, and it had a lot more. Even the one that we had just a couple weeks ago had a few more little jokes peppered in there, but a lot of people were still worried that the Whedonisms of the first movie are going to be removed. And I don't know if I ever really fully subscribed to that. I did think this was going to be a more serious film. There are going to be less jokes, obviously, just because of the dire consequences. We're going to get some levity throughout. I mean, he's going to pepper it in, but I mean, just take a step back and look for a second. I mean, even in this trailer, there's barely any Hulk. That to me, and they've gone on record and stated before, Hulk has a much bigger role in this movie. Now, whether or not that amounts to more screen time or his character is just a lot more central to the plot, that's still to be decided, because they could mean both. But I have a feeling we're in for a really, really cool movie. On top of that, we're going to get a lot more Hulk than we're thinking. I am almost certain that, because there have been hints and allusions to the fact that Vision is going to be fighting someone, and they can't say who it is. Now, whether or not that's Ultron is up to interpretation. It's very likely going to be Ultron, but let's just for a minute speculate. What if Vision is the character? Now, I got to preface this first, okay? I have not read the breakdown of the Hulkbuster versus Hulk fight. This is speculation. If I am incorrect, and what I say here has already been talked about in that breakdown, just let me know that it is incorrect if you want to in the comments. Do not allude to that, please. I do not want to know. I have purposely not read any of that stuff because I want to know why it happens. I don't like being spoiled that much. I like getting little bits, little pieces of information, and then being able to go in and enjoy it, whetting my appetite, as it were. I don't want to be given a steak as an appetizer. Scratch that. I want a steak as an appetizer. But I don't want to get every piece of cool content and all that stuff well ahead of the release of the film. So my idea or my thought is either during the Hulk versus Hulkbuster fight or sometime later on in the film, we're going to get a Vision versus Hulk fight. That's what I think we might get. The only reason I think that is because they've alluded to the fact that Vision has a massive fight in the film. They're not telling you who it is. It's going to be probably Ultron, but wouldn't it be amazing to see Vision, a character that has the ability to change his own density? I believe he has the ability to fire laser blasts through his hands, very similar to Iron Man, but it's actually part of just his biomechanics. And even on top of that, he can fly. He's got so many powers. Now, they have said that they're going to be bringing some of those back down to Earth, but we do know that he has the ability to change his density, which means that he can basically phase through stuff if he wants to. Imagine a fight between him and Hulk where Hulk goes to punch him and he just almost dematerializes. He almost becomes like a hologram where Hulk just punches through him and then he rematerializes, grabs him and throws him or something like that. The visual aspect of that fight, it's a matched fight. Both of them could fight one another. I mean, he's an android now. That being said, if Hulk grabs a hold of him, he could probably rip him apart. But if he did that, then he would just make himself a harder density. He would make himself like a friggin' diamond. He would make himself so strong that the Hulk couldn't break him. I mean, it would be like Hulk trying to lift up Thor's hammer. To me, there's so many possibilities. But on top of that, this is the trailer we should have got. I mean, just the call-outs. The Cap throwing a motorcycle. Oh, it slipped. You know? I mean, Thor smacking Captain America's hand or Captain America's shield just like it was a baseball. You know, and that line where it's all in the swing, that's from the ending of the movie. That's from the big fight between them and Ultron. It's in a different setting, you can tell. But I mean, you know, even on top, at the very beginning, with Colby Smolder saying, "We got it, boss," and he goes, "No, he's the boss," and he points to Captain America, and he goes, "I'm just the guy that pays for everything, designs everything, makes everybody look cooler." You know, I mean, that to me was the epitome of Tony Stark. I'm not the guy in charge. He is, but I'm the one who does everything. So I did like that. He's kind of the guy who has all the toys but doesn't have any of the responsibility. So that right there in itself is the character of Tony Stark. I mean, they hit everything on the head so much that this to me is what we should have seen all along. Now, for those of you who haven't seen it, I will put a link in the description of this video below so you can check it out. I highly recommend it because it is one hell of an entertaining 1 minute. That being said, it does reveal a fair amount of new footage. So, I mean, just the things that I've said, but even other aspects of the film too. There's new parts. You get to hear Quicksilver talk. I know there's a lot of different elements in this trailer. Even for it being 1 minute, it was short, it was concise, it drove home the point of the film, gave us some of the humor, gave us a lot of the dire consequences that the characters are going to have to come in contact with throughout the film. I mean, it was perfect. It was the ideal trailer we should have got. And I wish that we hadn't have had so much footage. I mean, I was very hesitant to watch the trailer, but everybody was just raving about it. I had to watch it. So I definitely recommend you guys check it out if you haven't. The link is in the description of this video below, so definitely check it out. And the movie's going to be opening up in just over a month. Like, just let that sink in for a second. We have like 5 weeks until this movie is released. 4 if you get to be in Europe, because they're going to have it released a week ahead of time. So I'm excited for that. That also means we're going to be getting a new trailer for Ant-Man, because you bet your bottom dollar that they're going to start the Ant-Man promotional tour as soon as Avengers opens up. And they're going to use that movie as a catapult to launch us into the ad campaign of Ant-Man. I'm excited for it. We're going to get a new Star Wars trailer, most likely. I mean, this movie is just bringing us all the gifts. So I'm definitely on board with it. I'm so excited. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And until we get more information, I will definitely update you guys on here. We just got our first look at the upcoming Michael Fassbender quirky comedy-style Western, Slow West. Now, one interesting fact, these guys are going to, the 2 main cast members of this movie are going to be meeting up again very soon. Michael Fassbender co-stars with Cody Smit-McPhee, who looks to be the lead of the film. Cody Smit-McPhee is going to be playing Nightcrawler. He was just cast as Nightcrawler in X-Men Apocalypse. Michael Fassbender, as you all know, is Magneto. So it's really interesting to see how these guys can play off one another before we see them in that movie, where they're obviously going to be having very different relationships, if they even meet at all. But it's very different relationships, but it's really cool to see these guys in a movie reacting off of one another, acting with one another, because that just builds just a bond, you know? I mean, it just allows them to better read one another, and you can see subtle little nuances in somebody that you've spent more time with and worked off of previously. So it just aids to that. Now, that being said, I don't know if we're going to get a Nightcrawler Magneto sequence in the movie, because judging from X-Men 2, it looks like those characters had never met previously, which means there's a likelihood that they wouldn't meet in this movie, although the timeline's been changed. But we're going to get more into that in one of the later stories. This is such a quirky little trailer. I mean, I was not expecting this movie to be a comedy. Now, it's not a comedy. It is a Western, but it's got parts drama, but a lot of quirkiness and a fair amount of humor, at least in the trailer. And even a lot of the reviews that I read, because this movie debuted at Sundance, a lot of the reviews I read said that it had a lot of humor in it. Now, it was slow at certain parts, which it's a Western. It's called Slow West. I mean, it's part of the genre, for Christ's sake. But anyway, on top of these guys, Ben Mendelsohn comes in, and he's always awesome. I mean, Ben Mendelsohn always plays great characters. He's got that, that sleaziness to him. He's got that jerk aspect to him, but he can also play a really intellectual person. He's got a lot of range, and I really like that. But he's such a good character actor. He's like the new J.K. Simmons. He's a guy who's always great in supporting roles, but has never really gotten to the forefront. J.K. Simmons only recently became to the forefront, his version of J. Jonah Jameson notwithstanding. But the problem I had with this trailer at first was it I don't know if it just wasn't edited together properly, or it just wasn't the standard kind of trailer that we're used to seeing in terms of the pacing of it and all this kind of stuff. But it started off a little rocky to me. I didn't quite get the sense of what the movie was supposed to be. I didn't know what it was trying to be. But as the movie went along, it got a lot better. There was clearly going to be a really cool set piece near the end of the film, but the humor aspect of it, the camaraderie between the two, the interactions between Mendelsohn and Fassbender, just that one. He's like, "Hey, you mind if I step in?" While holding a gun. He's like, "It's a free country." Just the way that they delivered off of one another, I was really impressed by. So I'm really looking forward to this movie. And on top of that, we get a little tiny glimpse. We don't know how big of his role is in this movie, but and the name of the actor is escaping me, but the guy who plays the Hound on Game of Thrones, or spoiler alert, played the Hound on Game of Thrones. He shows up as the girl's father. So basically the story is Cody Smit-McPhee falls in love with this woman in Scotland, and she ends up, for some reason, it was, I think, a mistake, but it had to deal with murder, and there's a ransom out about her, on her and her father. They had to run away to America, and so he then goes in search of her, and he's trying to traverse the Old West, but he's never really experienced it before. So as he's going along, Michael Fassbender's character comes in and ends up saving him, and realizes this kid needs help. He needs a chaperone, so he's going to go along with him. Whether or not he has a hidden agenda is still up for debate. I don't read spoiler reviews really until I've seen the movie. Then I love to go and read spoiler reviews, but I haven't read up on this film all that much. I've gotten a taste of it. I like what I'm seeing. I think this has potential. The reviews were fairly positive for the movie. So I'm on board with it. This is a type of Western that I think that we need. One that people can relate to almost. Like you go back to The Quick and the Dead, the one that Sam Raimi did with Sharon Stone and Gene Hackman. While that movie was a very serious movie, let's just talk about that movie for a second, all right? Directed by Sam Raimi. The main cast was Sharon Stone, Russell Crowe, Gene Hackman, Leonardo DiCaprio. I know I'm forgetting a couple of other people, and I can't even see them in my head. But, I mean, when that movie came out, like, Leonardo DiCaprio was fresh off the boat. He'd only done a couple of other films, but he was still really good in the role that he played. Russell Crowe was a standout. It was one of his first real big American movies. He hadn't really done too many before that. He wasn't even really known at the time. This was pre-Gladiator. This was like 5 years before Gladiator. But these are the types of Westerns I think that we need, because again, they speak to a different audience. There's an audience who loves Westerns, but then there's other people who want more from just one genre. You can't just have a sci-fi film. You have to have a sci-fi fantasy, or a sci-fi action, or sci-fi comedy. You have to have these layered storytelling capabilities. And when you bring in multiple genres, or have something subheaded under multiple genres, it gives you a little bit more freedom. You can insert something here, or put something there, place something right here, place something right there. Adds to the whole thing, as long as it's there to support it, not as a crux. You don't want it to be, I know that almost sounds contradictory, but you don't want it to be solely resting on it, but you want it to just add to it. You want it to flavor it a little bit, if you will. So I'm excited for this, especially the finishing shot. I don't know why I laughed at it, because it's not overly funny, but the ending shot where they have their clothesline in between their horses, and their clothes are drying as they're just walking along the plains. And he's like, he said something like, "You're doing good, son." And as the kid just pulls away to tighten it because the clothes are dragging on the ground. Like, I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny. And I'm excited to see them play off one another. I want to see more of this film, and that was the sole purpose of the trailer. So I'm on board with this. Let me know what you guys think below. You can check out the trailer in the link of the. You can check out the trailer by clicking the link in the description below. I don't know why I'm having such trouble talking today. I can even feel my voice going away. But yeah, it's going to be released in limited theaters and on video on demand on May 15th. So we've only got 2 months left to wait before this movie comes out. For the general public, I should say. So we'll get a better sense of what the movie is like at that point. But I'm on board with it. This looks really cool. I'm on board with this. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And if we do get more information about this topic, I will definitely update you guys on here. Jennifer Lawrence was just recently out doing press for her upcoming film Serena, and one of the reporters, I believe it was from MTV, asked her, so she's going to start filming X-Men Apocalypse soon. Is this the last one? We've been hearing rumors. And she goes, yes, this is her last movie. Now, I don't think that's surprising in the least. And here's a couple of reasons why. One, when she first started with X-Men First Class, when she was cast in the movie, remember, she was cast in, I think, either late 2009 or early 2010. She was cast just after, I think it was either just before or just after, she was nominated for the Academy Award for Winter's Bone. Or it might have even been just around the release of that movie. I think it was just after it. But anyway, she had just sprung onto the scene. Nobody really had known about her before that. And so then they said, oh, wow, she's got such a natural talent, all this, that, and the other thing. They ended up casting her as Mystique. Between X-Men First Class and X-Men Days of Future Past, which was her second performance as Mystique, she had the Hunger Games franchise. Why am I drawing a blank? She had a Silver Linings Playbook. She had, say what you will about the movie, but she had American Hustle, and I thought she was actually really good in the movie, even though it was a smaller part. And now she's got Joy coming out that she's working on right now with David O. Russell. It's going to be her fourth collaboration, I think, with him. Third or fourth, but still, her contract was only for 3 films. Makes sense. She's now an Academy Award-winning actress. Her price point has gone up. Also, because of her status now in Hollywood as pretty well an A-lister, I don't know if this is just on her part or if it's on her management team or if it's just the types of movies that she's wanted to go out for. She couldn't because she was contractually obligated to appear in these films for 3 to 4 months at a time minimum. I think she wants out of being part of an ensemble, at least a part of this type of ensemble, where if you can come in, you just have to get wardrobe a little bit and maybe an hour or so in total, makeup, hair, get wardrobe, all that kind of stuff. And then going out and shooting and being part of a fun ensemble, I think is one thing. Having to sit in a makeup chair for 3-4 hours a day, I think even longer actually for her, every day that she's shooting, and then having an hour or two to remove it at the end of the day, well, that can get pretty nerve-wracking. You can really start to hate that process. So if the prospect comes up and saying, hey, you know what, we have an idea for you to be in 2 more films. Do you want to do it? This is your salary. This is all this stuff. This is the timing schedule, all this kind of stuff. If she goes over it and has the openings, she could very easily say no, because why? Unless they're going to do a Mystique movie, which they won't. But why would she do it? There's so many other properties that she has the freedom. Next year, technically speaking, next year she will have finished both of her franchises. This November, she'll be finishing the Hunger Games. She'll be done with that franchise. In May of next year, so only 6 months later, she'll be done the X-Men franchise. She's now completely free of contractual obligations, at least to franchises. Studios are another thing. She might have a deal with Sony or might have a deal with Universal or anything like that. Maybe she has a blood contract with David O. Russell. Who knows? But the fact that not only has Jennifer Lawrence now officially stated that she's done after X-Men Apocalypse, this brings up a question. Days of Future Past, spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen Days of Future Past. If you're watching this show and you haven't seen Days of Future Past, the hell are you doing? But anyway, that's not a knock against you. I'm just saying this is the type of show you would normally watch it, but you get it. Days of Future Past reset the timeline. Everything that happened post Days of Future Past technically didn't happen anymore, or could have happened but in a slightly different way. What if they kill Mystique in this movie? We've been hearing that there's going to be a lot more of a centric plot line with both Magneto and Mystique and Beast. Mystique is going to be a very central character to this movie. What happens if she dies at the end? Not only is it a way for them to retire a character that we have now seen on screen at the time of this movie, we'll have seen her 6 times. Saw her in X-Men, X2, X-Men 3, and now we've seen her in X-Men First Class, Days of Future Past, and X-Men Apocalypse. 6 films for what is known as a secondary character. I think they could retire the character. Now, with comic book lore, no one ever stays dead. All right? Come on. So let's calm down. But that could mean that they could retire the character of Mystique. They would give Jennifer Lawrence a complete, hey, I'm done. Like, look, it's out of my hands. They killed me off. But it would bring suspense. It would further cement the fact that they're in a new timeline, that events of the past, that events of the future past, that have happened actually might not happen. And until we get some sort of concrete evidence outside of Mystique now being Stryker, which that could actually be the crux. Imagine this. Okay, this is speculation. Wolverine becomes one of the archangels of Apocalypse, which happened in the comics. Wolverine then finds out Mystique was actually Stryker the whole time when he got the adamantium. Because this movie could be set after the point where he actually got the adamantium, because now she is Stryker. At least we assume that she's Stryker. She might have just been him right then and there. But imagine this. She is Stryker. She's the one who tortures him, who, you know, puts the adamantium in him, makes his life a living hell because he has all those hateful memories. That was a very, very clear point of Days of Future Past. What if Wolverine found out about that while under the influence of being an Archangel of Apocalypse and kills her? And that is one of the things that really separates the character of Wolverine that we know from the character of Wolverine that they might try to reintroduce in this movie, an updated version of him, if you will. Because it's a new timeline. They have room to change. They could do all this kind of stuff. So there are, to me, a lot of different possibilities as to where they could take it. I don't know if they're going to kill off the character of Mystique. To me, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be bothered by it at all because there's so many other characters that they could use that are fresh, that are new. Some of them even have kind of similar powers to Mystique. So it might not even feel like she's gone, but we're getting a new character, a new backstory, a new personality, maybe a good person, maybe a bad person. We don't know. Like it just opens up the door that we could get new characters, you know, because we've already got the younger cast, which is what I think is going to focus on those characters in the movie's past Apocalypse. Apocalypse is going to tie up the storyline we have of Charles, of Eric, of Beast, and of Mystique. So, but we're going to get young Cyclops, we're going to get young Storm, we're going to get young Nightcrawler, and I think those are going to be set up in this movie to be the focus of the next series of films. And then we're going to get away from Magneto for a bit. We're going to have another big bad come in. We're probably going to still have Charles Xavier, and I think McAvoy could stay on. It all depends on whether or not he would want to, what the size of his role would be. You know, I think they might make it similar in size to Patrick Stewart's role in X-Men 3. Not saying they kill him, but just have him be featured in small parts. You know, that way they could keep a big name actor still on board the franchise, not have to tie him up for a while with filming. So, I mean, there's lots of possibilities. But even Nicholas Hoult, who plays Beast, has alluded to very recently that his contract is done at the end of Apocalypse. But he, I believe, is interested in exploring the idea of returning and coming back for more. At least he's intimated at that. So whether or not that's the case is still up for discussion. I really don't know, but let me know what you guys think about this. Are you happy that Jennifer Lawrence is going to be calling it quits for Mystique after X-Men Apocalypse? Do you think there's a reason why she's calling it quits outside of just her stardom and her fandom and all this kind of stuff just exploding out of nowhere? Well, not out of nowhere. It's well-deserved. But do you think that there is a reason outside of her fandom that's why she's not coming back? Let me know in the comment section below, because this movie is going to be coming out May 27, 2016. Very well could be our last time for a while to see the character of Mystique on screen. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And if we do get more information about this topic, I will definitely update you guys on here. Well, that'll about do it for part 1 of today's episode of Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have been a great audience. Go ahead and click that subscribe button there in the bottom corner and get updates whenever a new video is posted. You can also follow me on Twitter at Niklsun, Niklsun, for all of your movie updates. And also give our Facebook fan page a like at facebook.com/movie news with Niklsun. It's where we put a lot of updates and a lot of discussion topics and all that kind of stuff. So definitely check it out there if you haven't already. And if you do have a question or a topic you'd like to have talked about on the show, go ahead and put a comment in the comment section, or you can email me at movienewswithniklsun@gmail.com. And then on every Friday episode, I will try to answer as many as I can. But until next time, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.